What up, guys? Jon here with Linkswell Together podcast. This is episode 27, happening live inside a 2019 Chevy Silverado. What? That's right. Episode 27, Chevy Silverado. Here we go. All right, guys. Yes, we are here. Episode 27. Last week, we were hanging out in our F-150. This week, we're hanging out in our Silverado 19 and up. This is one of the most requested applications, and man, it has been a long time coming. And in all honesty, guys, magic behind the movie, we literally are shooting this the day after we shot last week. But you don't know that. It's a secret. Welcome to Movie Magic. Anyways, here we are. What up, Vic?
KnowledgeFest, day 2.
K-Fest, day 2. We're literally looking at some big training happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
About CNC machines and 3D printers and all that stuff. Our training yesterday went pretty well, though, I think.
Yeah, it really did. Packed house,
Well, we were
overflow,
packed. Yeah.
people standing, no more chairs.
Yeah, not bad for it only being on the roster for like 4 days. So, yeah, that's pretty good. It's been a decent show for us.
Yes.
We're running behind schedule, so this is going to be a quick episode, I think.
Hopefully.
But, yeah, man, 2019 Silverado, guys, you've been asking for it. We want to do a couple things in this video. One, let me get the dash on there for you so you can see it. Pardon the lighting. We don't have any lighting. Literally have the sunroof open again, trying to get some light in here. It's quite dark. But we're going to do our best. Hopefully I can get this post-edit to kind of look a little bit better. But here it is, guys. And there's a couple things we want to talk about that makes us different, because we are different. There is another style out there that a lot of brands are rebranding. It's coming from the same factory. It's the same piece. So, you know, name the brand. It's probably the exact same radio. But theirs is just a screen replacement. So it just replaces the screen, keeps all of the factory components. And that creates in itself a really clunky back and forth.
Well, I think that, you know, it's good that we talk about it. Like we talked about it last time too. It's not that we're saying that we're better, right? It's just that as a consumer or a dealer, I think it's important that ultimately we educate. Yeah, we educate the people on the differences, because if I was in the market for a solution for my truck, which would happen to be a 19 to 23 Silverado or Sierra, I would want to know what's out there so that I can then make an informed decision.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so speaking to what is out there on the market, with it being just a screen replacement, it means that there's kind of like two components in there and they don't really run together. Right. You kind of go into one or out of the other. So you go into the factory radio or camera or whatever the factory radio components are. And then if you want to use the aftermarket stuff, the Android stuff, then you have to come out of that and go into that. And when you're in one, you can't see the other. And so there's like weird things where, like, if you're using the Android side, you want to put in the reverse camera, you literally have to back out of Android and then go into console so that it will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so just kind of clunky, you know, not smooth.
Yeah, I think that's the right way. It's just, it's not smooth because just like they say, you keep function of, you know, like the factory satellite radio, for example, right? So if you're in console set, which is their OEM side of their screen, and you're listening to your satellite radio, but you have your phone paired to the Android side of their screen, and your phone rings, you're not going to hear it. Because you're in console set, which is the factory side. You would have to switch over and then answer it. And I don't know that would go very well if my wife was driving that truck.
Yeah, no, my wife has a hard time when I get two super techie radios in there anyways, but to have one that's that way. Now, but again, it's one of those, like, what matters the most, right? Like, if you have to keep that factory XM, then, and that's the way you got to go, and just know what you're getting. And, you know, we've talked about our development process, and that's actually been kind of our whole thing this weekend at the show, is just because we're showing a very, very, very early concept when it comes to the new Bronco radio, which is 3D printed. Knobs aren't even real. It's all like mounting parts are real, but the rest of it is not real. And then we've got like this truck, which is about 95% ready. And then last episode, we were in our F-150, which is not quite as far along as this one, and just kind of showing the progression of our development. and how we want to make sure that what you experience, doesn't matter which application you jump into, you get the same high level experience. We don't want, because we could have made a screen replacement years ago.
Right.
And we did talk about it, but it was one of those like, what if every customer that got into that hated it, and then they just assume all the rest of our products are the same?
Right.
You know, we want to be able to say, hey, all of our products have the same quality of functionality and fluidness and all of that stuff. So we were not willing to settle on just a screen replacement. And so we kept pushing and kept pushing. And so with that comes some hurdles that we kind of jumped through. And so we'll talk about some of those hurdles, because I know you grabbed a few of the extra components.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to tell them about the things that are kind of set apart in this application,
right?
Specifically.
So beyond replacing the screen here in the dash, right? We also replaced the radio, which is located on the right side of the passenger side next to the glove box. And so this is the radio that replaces your radio. There is a LVDS cable and a power cable that goes from this box to the screen, so that the screen is controlling what's going on inside the radio. This is where you have your pre-outs. This is where your SIM card holder is. This is where your AM/FM antenna plug is. This is where the speaker level outputs of the radio are. So this is where it all happens. Just like with the factory, what you see in the dash, it's just a screen. The screen is controlling the factory radio on the passenger side kick panel. So that's where we wanted to set ourselves apart. And what Jon was talking about is we want to be able to come out with a more seamless, complete solution. So not only, are you doing all that, we want it to also work seamlessly in the vehicle, so that when your customer is driving it, it's actually an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, and so we've got the module there, and part of the manufacturing, I think we've had 2 or 3 variants of just even the bracket that holds that in, because we want that to be nice and clean and to fit like factory. And then we spoke about it, I think we spoke about it in the F-150 when we talked about how this is LVDS, so we had to create an LVDS system, which is nothing we've ever done before. We've always we've done LVDS when it comes to camera interfacing on some factory stuff, but kind of creating our own between our screen and our radio, that's a new thing. So that took some work. And then there's the last big hurdle, outside of like the firmware was crazy with the Ethernet and stuff, but the last big hurdle is now the Bose. And what's the answer for the Bose? Because this Bose is a new Bose. It's different than the old Bose. And the old Bose was a nightmare of a signal to recreate, and we finally got it. This one's going to be a nightmare to recreate too. And so we had to make a decision now, because it's probably going to take them a few 6 months maybe to get that adapter built. So we had to make a decision: do we hold back the release of this radio,
right,
and wait for the Bose adapter, or do we find another way around it? And I actually prefer this way.
Me too.
Because I think this way that we've kind of come around the Bose for now. We will have this option probably for the remainder of future, and then we're working on a second option where you would retain the Bose amp. But we've created, using some of our DSP amplifier components, its own DSP amp swap.
Yes.
Right? So you'll go to the back seat, you'll pull out that factory Bose amp, and then we've got our own 8-channel DSP.
And you're only using 7 in here, right? So ultimately, like Jon said, we talked about the cost of developing a Bose retention module. Not only would have held back production and release of the actual radio, but it would have been the same cost as us coming out with a Bose amp delete. Yeah. So in this case, we will probably have both. If you want to eventually,
in the future.
Eventually we will probably have both. But as it is right now, for those of you that have the factory Bose amp in your trucks, we've created a Bose amp delete. Like Jon said, you're basically taking the factory Bose amp out, and you're going to mount our 8-channel DSP amplifier in its place. Now, the way this amplifier communicates with our new radio is via Toslink. Yeah. So the SPDIF cable will go from the cage that we showed you earlier, which is this one. This is where the Toslink output is. The output of that is going to come to the input of our 8-channel DSP amplifier. And so once this is mounted, there's going to be a T-harness that we're going to include. And the T-harness is a 2-sided T-harness. One side will go to the Bose amplifier plugs that you disconnected, and the other end is going to go into the 8-channel DSP amplifier. And that's how simple it's going to be to maintain the audio working in the truck, not necessarily maintain the Bose amplifier. You're going to maintain the Bose speakers now working with an 8-channel DSP amp, which is getting its audio signal from the new radio.
Yeah, via Toslink, which means it's pure digital, and then our DSP amp is going to be more powerful than the Bose amp, and it's going to have a better processor than the Bose amp. So you actually are going to go from a small screen to a big screen, and then from a Bose. I'll be honest with you, most of the manufacturers will always create an audio system that is safe, meaning not super loud on any sense of the spectrum of audio, because they don't want you to blow speakers. So they're always kind of they play safe. But with us, we're going to give you more power, a better DSP, and then, like you said, you mentioned it's an 8-channel, and you're only using 7 channels worth of speakers that come with the Bose, which means there's an 8th channel if you wanted to add an extra subwoofer. So if you're like, man, my Bose just needs a little bit more bass, then you would do this, and you would literally get to add like a little 10-inch woofer under the seat or something like that. And now your Bose system is way better than it was. Your stereo is way better than it was. So honestly, I am almost like more excited about this version of a Bose Delete than a Bose adapter, because I really think it's going to make a huge difference. Like, it's made a huge difference in our truck. Like, that's what our truck has, and we pulled out the Bose, and we have our Bose DSP back there.
And we talk about this a lot too. We talk about how much control we have about our production, obviously, because we're the ones doing everything from A through Z. So the other thing that my favorite part about the DSP amplifier Bose Delete setup is, not only are we replacing the amp with a DSP amplifier, but that amp is going to come pre-tuned. Which means you don't have to spend an hour and a half tuning every channel.
Setting up the channel.
We've already done that. One of the presets will be the pre-tuned setup for the Bose speakers. You will be able to change it
if you want to.
If you wanted to, So it doesn't mean you're stuck with it. But the beauty is you're going to be able to unmount the factory amp, disconnect it, mount the new amp, plug it in. You're going to have your Toslink cable RAND. 2 different ways to turn on the amplifier is remote turn on or signal sensing. So you'll set that up and wire it up accordingly, depending on your preference. You'll turn on the key, and you're going to have audio right away, tuned audio right away.
Nice, clean audio.
And so that's one of the things that I remember during the development process, I spent some time getting this thing to sound really good. And I was like, man, if I was an installer at a shop doing this, because, we understand, listen, you have to start and finish cars at the shop to turn numbers.
You do.
Otherwise, you're not getting paid for that car that day.
You're not wrong.
And if you're spending an hour and a half just to tune it when you could have been working on another car, then, hey, that's... to me, if I'm at a shop and it comes pre-tuned, man, I'm plugging that thing in, I'm turning it on.
Get it going.
Get it playing. If the customer wants to, tweak it later, then, there's another hour worth of labor that we can take to be able to retune it for them. So that's my favorite part about this.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of we've cut our teeth, right? That's what part of what Linkswell is plug and play.
Right.
Like trying to make things as simple and as quick for your installers and whatnot. So those are just some of the kind of the, the nuts and bolts that make this system special and different, where we're not going to be a screen replacement. We're going to be 100%. So any video you have seen on any of our YouTube or Instagram or anything like that showing a T-Styles function, know that this application is going to function just like that. So if you're new to this and you've only clicked into this episode because you noticed that it was for a 19 Chevy Silverado, make sure you check out our T-Style XL playlist and watch a bunch of those videos so you can see kind of the feature set that this radio will come with. Because what we do, and I actually had a couple people asking me that at the show here yesterday, like, what are the features? And we build a system, feature packed, and then we make it work in the car. So 99% of what a T-Style XL does happens on all of the vehicles. And then the only thing that really shifts is certain vehicles have more factory settings inside the setting of the radio.
Yes.
And so we have to create those. But outside of that, the functions themselves are pretty much across the board.
And that's, again, you got to learn from the greatest, right? I mean, you look at your Apple generation 5 and the new 14, 15, the user interface is the same. So people have become accustomed, they've become familiar with it. So it's so much easier to use. And so from a manufacturer's perspective, we kind of want to do that so that our dealers, the installers, know how to do different settings. They know how to set certain parameters, turn on, turn off different things that the vehicle's factory equipped with. We don't want to, have to reinvent the wheel from generation to generation for the sake of being different. In fact, we want that to be the same, but we're doing that, on purpose.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely. So a couple things about the mechanics behind it, the stuff you can't see in our video right now because you can't see the behind the back seat, and you can't see up behind the glove box. But some things to talk about with the system itself that you can see here in the dash. You can see all of it's painted to match, right? You've got the nice piano black glossy finish for the majority of the bezel. You've got the color matched silver pieces that go around the air vents. All of your factory switches down at the bottom, they come out of your factory bezel, and they go right back into ours. And then everything's all it's a good looking deck.
It really is.
It really genuinely is.
And you know what? I was a little worried because our prototype sample, the trims over here, they had more of a glossy gray paint.
Yeah.
And I was looking at them back then, but I was looking at the factory ones. And the factory
much
ones,
more silver.
Well, they've got a more chrome, like a dull chrome,
like a metallic to it. Yeah.
And so once we got these, I was like, perfect.
Yep, nailed it. They always do,
nailed it, man. Yeah. So I was looking at this and this, that, and the vent trim around the other side, and I was like, there we go. Now we're talking.
We're there, and like all of the switches mount really, really nice. There's actual screws mounting it in, so it's not just clipping in.
Correct.
It's a good fit finish. Those of you, we talked about this in the F-150, like I'm sitting here in the driver's seat, and I'm telling you right now, the top of the radio, I can see under the hood, like the hood, like there's a gap, like I can see the entire hood over the top of the screen right there. So as far as like your vision, I know it's a question a lot of people say, oh, it's going to block my vision. I'm telling you guys, it's genuinely not going to block your vision.
Right.
Like unless you're like 4'2", I don't think you're going to have any problem. And even at that point, you're going to have a problem seeing over the steering wheel anyways.
Yes.
So so like visual wise, it's super easy to see past it. We got all the stuff like we said with the multifunction knob. Like we've been watching one of our YouTube videos has been playing on here because we're at the show, so we just like leave the YouTube playing. But yeah, isn't that cool?
It is cool.
My favorite,
I really
man.
like that. Yeah. I mean, because you could be mapping.
Yep.
So this happens to be Google Maps. Obviously, CarPlay, Android Auto are all given functions.
Yeah.
But
wireless.
You could be mapping, and you're connected to, watching a YouTube video, and you can position it. You can resize it.
Yep.
I really like that about this one. And if you guys don't know,
cool,
I mean, this is gonna have a 5G cellular compatible network built into it. So it'll be 5G, 4G.
Yep.
Our previous generations are only 4G. So we're taking advantage of what the industry has to offer as far as automotive applications go. And so, they opened up the gates for 5G. We said, let's give it to them.
Yep. Just barely. That's kind of the thing, right? Like we're in the middle of really trying to work out some big things for Generation 7. And one of those things is the 5G chip because it had come up. It basically somebody was making it finally.
Right.
And so because these guys were early in development, we were like, hey, let's just lateral these two guys over. So this Chevy Silverado and the 21 Up F-150, both of those are going to be 5G. It's going to be a little special thing just for them because they kind of they're being developed kind of post the original XL, but before the 7. So they're kind of caught in the middle. And so they're getting a little bit of the extra new stuff from the 7, and then some of the stuff that's, our typical XL stuff. So
it's like the wave of Gen 6, and then the wave of 7.
It's like caught in the middle of it.
One's coming down, the other one's going up, and it's just like, here's these two solutions.
Yep, it's like caught right there. So the picture-in-picture, man. I mean, check out some of our other videos. Like I know if you're a Chevy guy, you probably wants to go through all of it right now. But ultimately, the show opens in like 3 minutes.
Yeah. So last thing, like John was saying, some of the things that make these applications unique or vehicle specific is how do you integrate into the car?
Yeah.
Well, every single one of our units will have an app that's called car settings.
Yep.
And this is where you'll be able to control everything that the factory radio had the ability to control as far as vehicle functions go.
Yeah.
The lighting, your door locks, right? Your collision and detection. So this is where you'll have all of those things. So the car settings app is the one that makes this unit vehicle specific. It's the one that allows you to control all of your vehicle functions.
Yep, and that's what I was saying. Like that's the only thing that's really going to vary between applications, because the settings that this Chevy has are not going to be the same as the Ford. That's not going to be the same as the Dodge. It's not going to be the same as the Toyota. So that's going to be pretty much the only thing that really varies among the T-style radios when it comes to that. So, but 2019, guys, this thing should hit the market. Hopefully, should hit the market around April. Bose, non-Bose, just know if you have Bose, you're gonna have to go with that DSP amp, but I'm telling you, you will be excited for doing that. But we should probably get going because it's starting to get loud out here.
Yes.
I don't even know if you guys can hear me at this point. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do subscribe. There is a link in the description that you can go and you can enter into a drawing to get yourself a free 1,000-watt amp once we hit that 20,000 subscriber mark. And even if you are a subscriber, you can still hit that link and join, put your name in the drawings by other means. But that's it, guys. Episode 27, 2019 to 2023 Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra. It's coming, guys, soon. Hold on. I know you guys have asked me this for years. How soon? How soon? I mean, so soon, guys. Like, we're talking probably a month or two. You will see this thing hit the market. And if you are on the fence on whether you should wait for us or you should get the other guys, wait for us. You won't regret it. You won't regret waiting for us. I promise. So, but that's it, guys. We're going to go hit the show. Going to go do some more work here at the Paris in Vegas at KnowledgeFest. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.